Man is back.
Oh, okay, Jay, boys, done it again. Oh my gosh, the ring got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered. You know what I'm saying? That's true. You know what I'm saying? But oh, look at that! Oh my God!
This is your boy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash the True Inferno. And I'm back with another Insomnia Spider-Man gameplay. Yes. So, last week I said I was going to look at the top video games of the year. But the problem is I didn't really play a lot of video games, especially the ones that I listed, because I had a pretty busy year. Like, there's a number of games that I got that I didn't even open. And, you know, that's kind of terrible on my part. So I felt like I wasn't even qualified to do a top 10 video games of 2018. Look. The game that actually won the award at the VGA is God of War. I got that game. I haven't even opened it yet. Like, I haven't even played it yet. So, yeah, there you go with that. So, I'm going to put that behind me. And I'm going to look ahead to 2019. But before I can move on to what to expect in 2019, in terms of movies or video games, we got to talk about the playoffs. The NFL playoffs starts this Saturday. I cannot wait, man. The wild card round is going to be bananas because 3 out of the 4 wildcard teams could make some noise this postseason. So, and that's what this video is about. Me give you guys my NFL playoff predictions. So let's start off with the AFC side. So we need to know who's actually in the playoffs. So the number 1 seed are the Kansas City Chiefs. They got home field advantage throughout the AFC side of the playoffs. After that, it's the New England Patriots, who barely got the number 2 spot ahead of the number 3 team, which is the Houston Texans. Now, keep in mind, the New England Patriots are the defending AFC Conference champions. They went to the Super Bowl last year before they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm about to say 76ers. This ain't basketball. But, yeah, you get the point. Like I said, number 3 are the Houston Texans. And before I move on, I want to point out that the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots are not competing this weekend because they got first-round byes. We will see them next weekend. But everybody else who I'm about to name in the AFC will be competing this weekend. So like I said, the Houston Texans will be competing. Who will they be competing against? I'll get to them in a second. The number 4 seed are the Baltimore Ravens. So the Baltimore Ravens got the number 4 seed. They will be in action this weekend against the number 5 seed, who are the San Diego, or really the LA Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. I think that's what they call now, the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe they are indeed called the Los Angeles Chargers. But yeah, there you go with that. So and I'm going to talk about this game right now. So that's going to be a very interesting game because the Chargers are one of those 3 teams who are in the who got the wild card spots, rather, that can make some noise. Because the Chargers, because of a tiebreaker, they were a tiebreaker away, or one more win away from basically having the best record in the AFC. And they could have home field throughout the AFC. But instead, it was the Chiefs that got it. And the Chiefs also got the AFC West over the Chargers. So the Chargers are stuck in a route, and they need to change this rule because the Chargers have a better record than the Ravens, but yet the Ravens got home field because they won their division. They need to change that rule, in my opinion. But anywho, I don't think that rule would matter here because I think the Chargers are really good to the point where against just about anybody in AFC, they can go on the road and win. And this is one of those examples where I think they would do that. I think they would go on the road, knock off the Ravens, and move on to the the divisional round, which was be kicked off next week again. Now, let's look at the number 6 seed, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. So the Indianapolis Colts got in as a wild card, meaning the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't get in at all, which is shocking. The first time in 16 years or something like that. It's been a long time since the Steelers missed out on the playoffs. But moving on. So the Colts would take on their division foes in the Houston Texans. So here's the deal with this matchup. So this is the 3rd time this NFL season that these 2 teams are squaring off since they're division rivals, basically. And the crazy thing is the road team won their previous 2 meetings. So meaning Houston went into Indianapolis and won, and the Colts went into Houston and won. So this game is in Houston. So, and the Colts are one of really, the 2 teams who are in the wild card spot that's been hot late in the year. So I expect them to continue that trend. I think that the other trend will continue until the road team winning in these 2 matchups. So I think the Texans will lose at home to the Indianapolis Colts. And I got the Indianapolis Colts and the LA Chargers moving on to the divisional round. Now, before we get to that, we need to look at the NFC side of things. So the NFC, the number one team, or the team with the number one record rather in the NFC are the New Orleans Saints. So they will have home field advantage throughout the AFC picture, and I will talk about that number one seed in a second. Number 2, that spot goes to the LA Rams, so they will have home field advantage up until the NFC Conference Championship game if they face the Saints. But both teams, the Saints and the Rams, will have a first round bye, meaning neither team will play this weekend. And then the number 3 seed will be the Chicago Bears. They will be in action this weekend. Now, here's the deal about these 3 teams. Like I said, the Saints got home field throughout the NFC. They got the number 1 record, so they're going to be heavy favorites. If the Rams or the Bears got that number 1 seed, then that team would have been heavy favorite to go on to the Super Bowl. But there's one team outside of those 3 that can spoil all of that, and we'll get to them in a second. So it was very important for the Saints to get home field throughout the NFC to get that number 1 seed because they need it. Because they had to go on the road against, like, for example, the Bears. They was not going to win that game. It had to go on the road against the Rams. It'll be close, but they had to go on the road against both of them. They was not going to win. They're not going to win both those games. The Rams, if they had to go, well, obviously they're going to have to go on the road. If they make it to the NFC Conference Championship game and face the Saints, they're going to have to go on the road. We'll get more on that later, maybe, possibly, who knows. And the Bears, because of their defense, I think they have, like, the best defense in the NFC. You could argue that the Seahawks and the Cowboys could be up there with them. But I'm looking at the Bears defense, and they're really, really good. They have home field, then they would more than likely go to the Super Bowl. But let's talk about the Bears competing in the wild card round in a minute. But yeah, let's move on to the number 4 seed. Ironically enough, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, since I mentioned them already, rather. The Dallas Cowboys, even though they're not a wild card team because they won their division, but they came on somewhat late because of their defense. And obviously with Ezekiel Elliott, who is a very good running back, and Dak Prescott, who is a very good quarterback, they could make some noise. But the problem is, Dallas Cowboys this weekend will be facing the 5th seed team. And this is one of those 3 teams who I think will make a lot of noise in the playoffs from the wild card spot. And that's the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks is that team. They are like firing all cylinders rather late in the season. And they're that team that can play spoiler to anybody. They will be on the road throughout this postseason for the most part. And they're going to play spoiler to a lot of teams, and the Dallas Cowboys will be vulnerable. So I got the Seahawks beating the Cowboys this weekend. And the number 6 seed go to the defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. They barely got in over the Minnesota Vikings because the Bears beat the Vikings, and the Eagles, I forgot who the Eagles beat, but they beat somebody to get in. I think it was the Redskins. Yeah, they beat the Redskins to get in and face the Bears. But they got to go to Chicago to face the Bears. And I think the Bears will easily win this one. This will not be close at all. I think the Bears will win, and they will move on. Now, let's look at the the divisional round, shall we? Switching back over to the AFC. So, we got the number 1 seed facing up against the lowest remaining seed, which would be the Indianapolis Colts. So, I see the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Indianapolis Colts. This is going to be a tough game. This is a tough game because, again, the Colts are firing all cylinders. And they playing some really good football. And I think the Chiefs digress a little bit, just a step. I think it was because of injury. I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. But because of home field, that's the only reason why I'm using that. Because of home field, I think the Chiefs will beat the Colts. It'll be close, but I think the Chiefs will beat the Colts rather because of home field. That's the only reason why. And I got the Chiefs going on to the AFC Conference Championship game. Now, the other divisional matchup, we're talking about the Chargers against the Patriots. And this is another close one right here because, again, the Chargers are on the road, and the Patriots, their defense have not looked good for the majority of this year. I don't know about later in the year, but the majority of the year, they have not looked good. Their defense, that is. But, again, you got the Patriots. They're at home. Obviously, you got the first round buys. They're going to use that to study and train more for this matchup. And they got the playoff experience. The Chargers does not. I'm not sure if I said San Diego, but the LA Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, does not have the playoff experience. And I think the Patriots will win, setting up the Chiefs against the Patriots in an AFC Conference Championship game where the Patriots will be on the road. Now, yeah, and the Patriots will have home field against the Chargers, but they will not have it against the Chiefs. But I don't think they will need it because, again, of the playoff experience. I think that would be an offensive shootout. And with the playoff experience on their side, I think the Patriots will win the AFC and make it back to the Super Bowl once again. Now, who would they face? Let's find out. So, on the NFC side, the divisional round, we got the Saints taking on I believe it's the Seahawks. Yes, it's the Seahawks. And this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one because the Seahawks, even though they don't have the Legion of Boom anymore, they still have Russell Wilson. And they got a pretty good defense. You know, they shock a lot of people despite not having the Legion of Boom back there anymore. It's going to be close, but with that offense that the Saints have, and they have a pretty good defense themselves, and they're at home, I had to go with New England. I mean, not New England, New Orleans. New Orleans, I got the Saints winning that matchup, going on to the NFC Conference Championship game. And then the Bears on the road against the Rams. Again, just like the Chiefs, the Rams, they took a step back as the season went on. I think it was because of injury or something else. I don't remember what it was. But because of the defense, the Bears will handle their business. And we're going on the road and knock off the Rams. And I got the Bears going on to the NFC Conference Championship game against the Saints. Now, here's the deal about the Bears. The Bears have to go on the road against the Rams and the Saints. And it doesn't matter who they have to face first. Whoever they face first, in this case would be the Rams, they will beat. But when it comes time to the NFC Conference Championship game, I think the offense will choke. They will crack under the pressure of, if we win this game, we're going to the Super Bowl. Because that's a lot of pressure. And while the defense will show up, but again, they're going against that heavy power offense in New Orleans. And New Orleans got a pretty good defense themselves. And home field advantage, I have to give it to the Saints to win the NFC. And we're going to the Super Bowl to meet the New England Patriots. So we got the New England Patriots against the New Orleans Saints. And Drew Brees against Tom Brady. Very good matchup. But again, the Saints got the better defense here. And I think they got a slightly better offense as well. And I got the Saints winning the Super Bowl this year. So that's my pick. Normally in the past, I picked the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, but not this time. I got the Saints winning it all over the Patriots. So yeah, there you go with that. That's my predictions for the NFL playoffs this year. All right, so with that said, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, the New Jay Gatsby, a.k.a. New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.